But so here's some of the approaches. If you just think about the who question, self-selection, some kind of non-random sample, random sampling, or in theory, if you had everyone. And by raw opinion, I mean opinion as you find it. And by refined opinion, I mean some effort where people talk and think and get different points of view, and there's some effort to make sure that the information, that they get their questions answered and they have good information. That's refined. Well, one of my colleagues, sometime collaborator from the University of Chicago, Norman Bradburn, coined the term SLOPS for self-selected raw opinion. SLOPS. Why does he call them SLOPS? Because in those days, radio stations had viewer call-ins where you could register your opinion. And so it was self-selected listener opinion polls. Self-selected. And these occur in many ways all over the world, all the time. At the turn of the millennium, you remember 2000, all the excitement about the year 2000,
Millennium back. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, Time magazine decided to pick the man of the century, right? So they had a world consultation for the man of the century, the person of the century, excuse me, the person of the century. And so they had these categories. The most influential person in the world in the 20th century, in the greatest statesman, the greatest thinker, the greatest entertainer, and for some reason I never figured out the best dresser. I don't know why. So they had these categories, and they were very surprised, and people voted, millions and millions of people voted on the internet, and people sent in postcards. From that standpoint, it was a great success. They had millions and millions of votes. But something very peculiar happened. The same person won in every category. Can anybody think who that could have been? Oh, you know the answer? Oh, if you know the story, don't tell. Let somebody guess first. Does anybody who didn't read about it know the answer?
Clinton.
What? Clinton? It was Ataturk. Now, why was it Ataturk? Because the people of Turkey mobilized. They mobilized. They had millions of school children voting over and over and over on the internet. And they didn't care the category. Greatest statesman, greatest thinker, best dresser. And so then the people of Greece got very upset that Ataturk was going to win. So they mobilized behind the person they thought would be the next best competitor, Winston Churchill. But Winston Churchill never caught Ataturk. And even though the British also voted for Winston Churchill, millions of people. So then finally Time magazine withdrew the whole thing. And they just canceled it. But there's a long expose in The Guardian from which I got this. But it shows the problem of self-selection. Actually, the Obama administration has the same problem right now because they have a self-selected, crowdsourced internet public consultation called We the People. So if a signature, originally if a signature got 5,000 or more votes and they published the number of votes, there would be an official public response. So then they began to get some weird things on this. There was so they raised it to 25,000 and then 50,000. So then some pranksters said that the administration should decide whether it wanted to have a Death Star, as in Star Wars, and the Defense Department said, this is ridiculous. And so finally they raised it to 100,000.